When you decide between a free trial or freemium or demo model, you need to be extremely careful. Unfortunately, you can't just Google the pros and cons or ask a fellow SaaS founder which business model will work best for you. Why not? Because that advice comes from people managing completely different businesses, different target audiences, different pricing strategies, different products, all different. What works for them won't necessarily work for you. So in order to make the right choice, you need a decision framework to decide on whether a free trial, freemium, or a demo model will perform best for your business. And in this video, I'm going to arm you with everything you need to know when making a decision between using a free trial or freemium model. By the way, my name is Ramlo John, Managing Director at ProductLed, and I am super excited to share with you this decision framework Wes Bush has created. All right, let's talk about it. It's the MOAT framework that will help you decide which is the right model for your business. Each letter stands for something. First up is M, which is market strategy. It's your go-to market strategy, dominant, discrete, or differentiated. O stands for ocean conditions. Are you in the red or blue ocean business? The third is A, which stands for audience. Do you have a top-down or bottom-up marketing strategy? Number 4 is finally T, which stands for time to value. How motivated and tech-savvy is your audience? But first, let's quickly go over the difference between a free trial or a freemium model so we're all on the same page. By definition, a free trial is a customer acquisition model that provides partial or complete product to prospects free of charge for a limited time. On the other hand, a freemium model is a customer acquisition model that provides access to part of a software product to prospects free of charge without a time limit. Now, it might seem like freemium is just an indefinite free trial, right? But the go-to market strategy could not be more different. Now that we're on the same page, let's take a look at M of the MOAT framework, which is market strategy. In Tony Ulwick's Jobs to Be Done Growth Matrix, he broke down the 5 most common growth strategies for any business. Here, I'll just be talking about 3 of them here. It's differentiated, dominant, and disruptive strategies. These are the 3 that works best in SaaS space, especially if you want to go quickly. All 3 growth strategies each have a unique advantage. Now, the dominant growth strategy. Let's start with that. Dominant growth strategy is a strategy that works great if you do something much better than the market that you serve, and you can charge something significantly less for it. Companies that employ this dominant growth strategy could include Netflix, Uber, Shopify. The freemium model is vital in a dominant growth strategy. It can really help you take a sizable chunk out of a market. The verdict here is both freemium and free trial models work much better than the traditional sales model of demo requests in the dominant growth strategy because it keeps your costs low and prevents competitors from stealing your market share. That's your competitive advantage. Low cost for an exceptional product. Next up is the differentiated SaaS growth strategy. This is a common strategy if you want to pick and win your fight with an industry Goliath. Your main line of defense against the Goliath is specialization. For instance, if you were to hypothetically take away part of HubSpot's market share, you might discover an unserved niche like real estate agents, and you can create a CRM product tailored to them. A differentiated growth strategy requires you to do a specific job better than the competition and charge significantly more than them. This is not a one-size-fits-all model though. This approach works well with free trials and demos. However, due to the inherent specialization and complexity of these products, it's difficult to create a freemium experience where an aha moment exists. The verdict here is that both free trial and demos work great with differentiated approach, but due to the market size limitation and complexity of the product, freemium model will not work in this environment. Your competitive advantage here is how you solve your customers' problems. Next up is the disrupted SaaS growth strategy. Most fast-growing SaaS companies are labeled disruptors, but don't let the label fool you. Few ever deploy a disrupted strategy. Why? Disrupted growth strategy requires you to charge less for what many might consider an inferior product. Most people think that this is a bad idea, but it's really not. If you used Canva before, a simple custom graphic tool creator, you've witnessed this firsthand. Compared to Adobe Photoshop's future against those of Canva, Canva loses every time by a lot. But with so many overserved customers in this particular market, Canva was able to build a much simpler product that solved very specific pain points, such as creating social media graphics in seconds. Quite a few other companies have taken this approach, like Google Docs, which is relative to Microsoft Office, Udacity, which is relative to traditional universities, Wave, which is relative to accounting software. Now, the verdict here is the freemium model thrives in the disruptive environment. Keeping costs low draws in prospect using existing solutions. Since the product is a scaled down version of an existing solution, it must be easy to use. You can use a free trial with a disruptive growth strategy, but it weakens the magnetic draw enjoyed by the freemium model. So it's time for you to make a decision on your growth strategy. Questions to ask yourself when deciding on your market strategy. Do you want to offer the best solution for the lowest price, which is the dominant strategy? Do you want to offer the best customized solution, the highest price to unserved customers, which is the differentiated strategy? Or do you want to offer the simplest product for the lowest price to unserved customers, which is the disrupted strategy? Once you know your go-to market strategy, it will become much easier to decide between a free trial, freemium, or demo model for your business. Next up in the MOAT framework is O, which stands for ocean conditions. Are you in a red or blue ocean business? If you're not familiar with the blue ocean strategy, here's the difference between blue and red ocean businesses. Now, red ocean companies try to outperform their rivals to grab a greater share of existing demand. As the market space gets crowded, prospects for profits and growth reduce. Products become commodities, and cutthroat competition turns the ocean bloody red. Blue ocean companies, in contrast, access untapped market space and create demand, so they have the opportunity for highly profitable growth. In blue oceans, competition is irrelevant. Yes, imitators arise, but experience shows there is a wide window of opportunity to stay ahead of imitators. To put it simply, if you're competing in a red ocean, you're fighting to capture existing demand. Whereas in a blue ocean, you're creating demand. Why does this matter? Now, if you're creating demand, there's often a heavy learning curve. You need to educate your market on why your new way of doing something is better. That's a real challenge. If you start in a blue ocean with a completely no-touch self-service model, people won't understand how your product helps them. It will probably fail. In a red ocean, prospects already know how your product can help them, and a self-service model is advantageous. It can widen your funnel, decrease your CAC, and help you expand globally in a fraction of time. This trend, though not a rule, is very common. Blue ocean businesses typically lead with a sales or marketing-led go-to-market approach, and red ocean businesses typically lead with a product-led go-to-market approach. Take a live chat software as an example. When it first came to market, most companies started with traditional sales and marketing-led go-to-market strategies. After the category matured, it became almost impossible to find a live chat application without a self-service model. Questions to ask yourself when deciding between a blue or red ocean. First, am I creating or capturing existing demand? Second, am I competing in a red or blue ocean? Note, if you're operating in a blue ocean, that doesn't necessarily rule out a self-service model. However, you need to ask yourself when, not if, you're going to launch a self-service arm of the business. All right, it's time to move on to letter A in the MOAT framework. That's audience. The very nature of being a product-led business means that you're likely to attract a particular crowd. Makers. Makers are people who try before they buy. They want to understand what a product is really all about and how it can solve their problem. Often makers are individual contributors to a business. They execute on the business strategy. They are doers. On the other side of the spectrum are shakers. Shakers are members of high level management with the right to shake the business or their team by mutual consent or, if need be, vested authority. This is known as top-down marketing approach. Regardless of size, most companies, including your competitors, target the shakers because they are the decision makers. Why is this important? Because if you pair a top-down marketing approach with a self-service model, your demo requests will outperform the self-service arm of the business. This outcome is true even with a top-performing free trial or freemium model. Your marketing approach needs to sync with your self-service model. Now, can you combine a bottom-up and a top-down marketing approach? Well, absolutely. If you target shakers, it's hard to lead with a free trial or freemium model because your audience isn't the end users, and they won't have the technical chops to grasp the full value of your product. If you target makers, leading with a free trial or freemium model may work really well. Now, these are end users who can experience the core value of your product and make convincing case to shakers. Generally, a top-down marketing approach works well with a sales or marketing-led strategy, with a bottom-up approach works best with a product-led approach. Questions to ask yourself when deciding between a top-down or a bottom-up marketing approach. First, are you currently targeting makers or shakers? Second, what is the annual contract value for each customer? Is it high enough to justify a low or high touch sales model? Unfortunately, none of this matters unless your potential customer is motivated to buy, which brings us to the last letter T, which is time to value. How motivated and tech savvy is your audience? Create a successful product-led business. You need a quick time to value, which will increase product adoption and activation rates. You need to fight to control these three factors. First is motivation, second is ability, and third are triggers. To break this down into a science, BJ Fogg gives us a model to reduce time to value in any product through motivation, ability, and triggers. The Fogg model helps understand the 4 business scenarios that affect whether people adopt a new target behavior in a product. If you look at this graph, you'll see that there are 4 common scenarios shared by all SaaS products. First scenario is mission impossible. Your user has low motivation and low ability, so sorry, you will never help your user tackle a new behavior in this scenario. Second is rookie. Your users has high motivation and low ability. You can afford to have terrible user experience and still get people to change. Not ideal, but not the worst outcome either. Third scenario is veteran. Your users has low motivation and high ability. This means your user will accomplish the target behavior easily, but could flee at any sign of friction or hunger. Who knows? Number 4 is spoiled. This is the outcome to optimize for. Your users have high motivation and high ability. This means that you'll be able to help the greatest amount of people in your total addressable market. So I'm curious, what scenario resembles your business? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Now, if your user has low motivation and actually low ability, your adoption rates will be quite sad. If you're solving a small pain point, say something like a social media scheduling, in which the motivation to use the product is low, make sure that the product is extremely easy to use. Just because you think your product is easy to use doesn't mean that your target audience thinks the same way. Now it's time to decrease the time to value beyond the Fogg model. While we can try to motivate users, it's often easiest and more cost effective to optimize your self-service experience. Any product that significantly reduces the time to value steps to complete a task will enjoy high adoption rate. Amazon's one-click buy button is a great example of this. Now, this sounds obvious, but many companies unknowingly add friction to the buying process. And by doing this, things like not showing pricing on the website, creating a lengthy process to activate a new user's account, asking for 10 different fields to sign up for an account, all this stuff. Those are just a few examples that will scare users away. Questions to help narrow down which option is best for you. How motivated are your users when they sign up for your product? Is your product easy for your target audience to use? If not, what can you do to make it easier for them? Are people able to experience the core value of the product without hand-holding. So is it possible to have a freemium or free trial hybrid strategy? Well, absolutely. There are several common ways to employ a hybrid strategy for your SaaS business. First example is when you launch a new product. When you're an established business and you want to de-risk your business, launching a new self-service product might be a solid option. This allows you to experiment with a product to see if the model will actually work for you. Second example is to go freemium with a trial at the end. If you have a product with lots of features, the strategy can work great. As long as your freemium version is viable, you can layer on free trial upgrades within the freemium product. HubSpot has been doing this successfully for a while now. When you sign up for the free marketing and sales tools, you get immediate value from the product. You get more value from the free product. They tempt you with free trial landing pages or blocked features. This is great because it allows the users to experience the new feature for a limited amount of time before upgrading. The third option is to start with a free trial and follow with a freemium. If you don't convert at the end of the 30-day trial, you can prompt users to use a free tool. In addition to providing value, it's an inexpensive form of advertising and keeping their solution top of mind. There are other ways to slice and dice hybrid models, but these three are the most common. If you're still unsure if a free trial, freemium model fits for your business, you can head over to productled.com/quiz to take our free quiz that will help you decide which one is right for you. By the way, thank you for watching this video. That's it for now. My name is Ramli John at Product Led, and if you want to watch more videos like this, become great at Product Led Growth, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Alright, see you in the next video. Bye.